at all. Justice Society felt like a distraction. Yeah, that was something you brought up, Andre. Did they feel like they were just kind of a shove in there because they were afraid that people weren't going to quite know who Black Adam was, maybe? Or they...
I think that again, this is one of the places where you can tell that the movie has been retooled. I think that the Justice Society's parts were cut down to only what was strictly necessary for the interaction with Black Adam. And it's not really a team up movie. It's in so much as in the current cut, which you have to recall, this is a movie that's a product of two different administrations. The previous administration made one movie, and then a new administration came in and they changed it. They cut it to hell and reassembled it again, and that's the movie that we've got right now. So what I will say that, yeah, Justice Society, they do feel like something of a distraction, and they feel kind of like silly and useless. And that's because their role that remains is basically to trigger a conflict between them and Black Adam, and to emphasize that there's a new power player in town, and the DC universe is changed now, which I only realized thanks to pointing it out to me. But yeah, there's essentially a new god in the picture. This is someone who can take down Superman. And how do you deal with that? How do you even show that? How do we get to that? That's what they're for. They are there to make Black Adam shine in this version of the movie.
I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but one thing I can see coming up as a gripe among actual comic book fans who are fans of Black Adam or aware of him, is that it sounds like they went too much into the anti-hero route, which is a more modern version of the character.
Not really. I mean, it's they've been trying to do it and they keep failing because Black Adam's a villain.
That's the same. Well, I was just going to get to that point, Script, is that I think the mistake they made here, and this is just, I'm curious if you agree with this, seeing the film. Andre, feel free to disagree with me, obviously, because you have. But I wonder if it would have been better served had they brought in another Suicide Squad team instead, since those guys are all bad guys going up against Black Adam. You can still have fun, and they're both bad guys. So at that point, there's still a bit more of a ambiguity as to who is really good or bad. You know what I mean?
I think they didn't go that route because they just didn't have enough time to do that. I think it would take a lot of preparation and work, and they didn't want to make a mistake, or as many of you have already said, maybe they had to change a few things around. They opted for more violent fighting scenes versus, worrying whether or not these two kids who had to pop their superhero cherry for the first time could even step to the plate and do anything, since they weren't really capable of doing anything at all. They just had to witness what was going on. And that was fine for this film. I think that it really needed to be all about Black Adam this time, that too many distractions in this with some other well-accomplished superheroes, I think would have taken away from the shine. And right now we just needed it to be focusing on Black Adam. So I'm glad that they didn't do it. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been a great idea, and it probably would have been enjoyable to see, some real pounding, but I'm almost glad that they didn't, because we don't even have to think about those reactions, and we're fine since they were there just, to be there, so to speak.
I have a slightly different take on it. I think that, the movie would have been better served if it had been someone other than the Justice Society, because I'm not familiar with the Justice Society from the comics, but they do come across as kind of useless tools in here, every single one of them. And I think it would have been better and also made more sense. They did. They completely disrespected the JSA, I can only imagine. But I think that it would have made more sense, even internally within the movie, if Amanda Waller had sent in a Suicide Squad, because that would justify them acting like such tools. I mean, I would kind of expect, this was what pulled me out of the Justice Society. I would expect them to know that we have to be a tiny little bit diplomatic here. We have to use some finesse to get this guy over to us. We can't go in Like we are aware of who this is. We know, or we can reasonably expect what he is going to respond well to and what he's going to respond badly to. And I'm not going to spoil here and now the line that they greet him with, but I will say that there is, in no universe could they have chosen a worse opening line than the one that they did. It was there's nothing they could have said that would have been worse and more antagonizing than what they did. Now, I would not expect that out of the Justice Society, of someone who's supposed to be heroes, but I would expect it out of a Suicide Squad with a bunch of losers. And also it would make perfect sense for Amanda Waller to, like, we're not going to sacrifice our heroes on this. We're going to throw in some really powerful bad dudes just to see what we're up against here. Just to get,
so
like,
Amanda Waller
recruited.
So are you saying that Amanda Waller, her character, is the one that shed light or asked for the JSA to get involved in this? Because the JSA
probably should not have spoiled that, but yes.
The JSA
if that's the case, then
her.
Holy shit. Sorry, Script. What did you say?
The JSA are supposed to hate her. In fact, the JSA and the Justice League are supposed to hate her for a very long time because she's not a good person at all.
I didn't even know that. I just asked that because I know a lot of classic comic book fans are going to be upset that they kind of did the anti-hero route because they like Black Adam as a villain.
Yeah.
And that's where I said I think it would make more sense putting him up against more villains, because then you can kind of question which one's the worst villain here, right? Exactly. And if Amanda Waller's already part of it, then that's fucking stupid.
I agree. Like, this is a problem. Like, if there was more time, they probably should have cut the JSA from the movie altogether and replaced them with the Suicide Squad. That would have made more sense.
And it doesn't even have to be the main squad.
No,
just get
no.
Another Suicide Squad, a different one.
There's no main squad to the Suicide Squad.
I know, that's my point, yeah.
I think the film would have had a completely different feel if they had done that. It wouldn't have been
I think that would have been better.
I think they should give Amanda Waller superpowers.
Well,
she already has them. She has the power to
she has the power of the corrupt government behind her.
She is one of my favorite characters in any of the superhero.
She is a very interesting character, yeah.
Well, she's a tragic one. She's from the street. She lost a couple of her kids to gang violence, and the ironic aspect is that she, in her position in the government, essentially leads gangs to commit violence for the sake and security of the U.S. interests.
And
she is the very thing that turned her into.
She's unambiguous.
Yeah,
I love her character.
So then why do you guys think that they didn't decide to go with a stronger team fighting against Black Adam then?
I'd have to go.
I can answer that. Because the previous administrations, the ones that did this, are stupid. No, really. Look at their previous movies. It's that simple. They're inept. They're incompetent.
He's not wrong. This is basically Walter Hamada and them guys' fault.
I mean, basically, it's like Ann Sarnoff would have said something like, "Oh, give us some girl power and some wokeness. I mean, loads of diversity. Bring in some famous names." And then Walter Hamada would go to, like, his DC guys and, like, say, "Okay, you guys, tell me someone famous in DC that we haven't used that. Who's in the Justice League? Okay, we have something called Justice Society. Well, great, we'll use those." That's how it happened. I guarantee you. There was no more thought to it. If there had been thought, it would have been another Suicide Squad, a brand new team we haven't seen before, because they would all be dead by the end of the movie. Or really by the end of the first interaction with Black Adam. That would have made more sense in the movie than wasting the Justice Society on this. And really, most of the woke complaints that there are addressed at the changes to the Justice Society. That I have gotten from the comments to my review.
I don't know. The detachable arm guy probably could have, done some damage with Black Adam.
Well, considering how many limbs are left laying around, according to Andre, it might have been in his favor.
That actually would be fun to use him there.
Well, that's what makes sense to me.
You could replace Dr. Fate with the Wizard. He's a supervillain with magical powers. There's definitely villains that you could have incorporated with a Suicide Squad angle that could definitely face off against Black Adam. But really, like, my only disappointment with the marketing and the trailers I've seen of Black Adam is the fact that Black Adam is the opposite of Shazam or Captain Marvel. I prefer those two to be their first encounter, because you have one that's a kid who is doing something morally correct, and then the other one that's on the morally gray side of things.
Because he lost a kid.
And they are from the same comic book era and universe.
Yeah, and they get their powers from the exact same source.
Yes.
And I think there's something you can tie to the fact that Billy Batson is a kid and Black Adam lost his son.
That is tied in. That is tied in already.
There you go.
That is addressed in the movie.